In this episode, we are going to learn how to add a date picker to an ember-cli application. Here's the demo app that we are going to be using. Here on the left, we have a date picker. You can choose dates that you want to use. And here, we're going to add our weight entries. When you hit enter, weight shows up down here with a correctly formatted date. To learn how to add a date picker, let's start with the base application. This one only has an input for our weight entry. If we create a new weight, it's going to add it at the bottom here, but with no date. Here, let's look at the source code that we currently have. Here we have a base ember-cli application. Let's look at our model first. Here we have our weight model. It has the amount and day. The important thing here is that we have a date selected for our day. Here we just have some of the fixture data that we're using to make working with the sample application easier. Go ahead and look at our template. Here we have our weight template. Notice this is our input field for our current weight, but we don't have the input for the date picker yet. This will loop through the models and show the amount and the day for each one with each helper. Now, notice here we have the value of new weight and we have the action create weight. So if we go to our controllers, we can look at that action. Here we have an array controller, actions, create weight, just like in our template. In this line, we're just getting the amount from the new weight input, checking to see if it's empty. Now we're going to create add the amount to our model. This will clear our input, and then this saves our model. Now let's learn how we can add our date picker to our ember-cli application. To add the date picker to our application, we are going to use the ember-cli date picker npm package. To install it, we want to use the instructions down here because it has the --save dev option. Let's copy that and add it to our terminal. Go ahead and close out of our server. And it's installing. Now we need to generate Alright, now we have it installed. Now we need to add the input and other things to our application. To add the date picker to our template, let's open it up and add it up here at the top. We're going to use the date picker helper. Followed by we need a name for it to access it in our controller. We can use my date and the format that it's going to be in. Normally you would do something like this: year, 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 month, month, day, day. But this would return a string in our controller, and what we actually want is a JavaScript date. And to do that, we can just pass in date. Now if we go to our web browser again and try and add a new weight entry, it's still blank down here, and that's because we need to add it to our controller. Okay, let's open up our controller. Here we're capturing the amount of the weight, but we're not capturing the day anywhere. So let's do that now and add another variable. Call this variable day, and we're going to do this.get, and this time we're going to call it my date. Now we also need to add day to our weight model here. So add a comma, day. Save it. Now let's go look at our web application. Hit enter. And you see it adds it here, but it's not very pretty formatted here, is it? Let's go ahead and correct that now. The day is being stored correctly in our model, but it's the formatting when we're displaying it in the web browser that isn't correct. To fix that, let's create a helper that will format the date for us. Let's go ahead and open up our terminal and type in ember generate helper formatted day. This creates a new helper for us in the helpers folder. Let's edit that now. So we're going to pass in the input here, and then we're going to change the format of this input. And since our date picker is using a JavaScript library called moment.js, we can use moment, pass in the input, and specify what format we want our date to display in. Here we can specify the year, the month, and the day. Now if we go back to our template here, we need to specify that we want to use our new helper. And this is the input, day. We save that, go to the browser, we now have a correctly formatted date.